scale that we have here in World at War, I mean, it's just beautiful. If we, for instance, go ahead and move over all the way to the right, let's just look at this land coverage. Let's take a look. We've, of course, got the Japanese here, and I am playing with the NATO counters. I prefer the NATO counters. I think most of you guys probably prefer the NATO counters, but keep in mind you can move to character icons. So you can actually have these units represented by small troops, etc., you know, things like that. In this case, we're just going to be worrying about trying to defeat the enemy. And obviously, we have several objectives. We're not going to take a look at the objectives now because we pretty much know what we have to do, and that's dominate Europe and also dominate East Asia with our forces. I think it's important. So first thing we need to do, take out the Poles. Let's do it, boys. We're going to start moving forward. I've already got some tanks right here and some units stationed near Danzig, the 1st Frontier Corps. So I'm actually going to send them in, and we wipe them out pretty much with no fight whatsoever. I'm going to keep on pushing forward, and over here we have some bombers, and what I really would like to do is use these bombers against Warsaw, so I'm going to save them. I'm not attacking this infantry unit. I'm actually just going to go ahead and just roll over it with the 3rd Panzer Army. All right, beautiful. Keep it up, boys. Now, in a lot of strategic, or like a lot of strategic command games, I would assume that in this game, we're going to be unlocking more units as we take land, as we accomplish objectives. That's really the way to do it. But there is another way in this game, and this is what sort of separates the strategic command games from a lot of the other operational level strategy. That's that we can actually purchase units up here. But for that, we need MPP. We currently don't have enough MPP, as far as I could tell, to purchase any units. We're going to have to wait a little bit, but we can purchase them for Italy, Imperial Japan, or, of course, Nazi Germany. We can even purchase them from Slovakia. So Slovakia was one of Nazi Germany's allies in the war, but didn't have really any sort of army to speak of. Okay, so we're actually going to go for Torun here, and I am attacking with some bombers. Let's hope they make it to the target, but as you can see, the enemy is actually being escorted by other planes. So this is a cause for concern. We want to be careful. Let's jump back. Yeah, Engineer Kenny, absolutely. Always play with NATO counters. At least I think most people interested in sort of strategy gaming. All right, so let's jump back in. And yeah, thank you for... Very cool. Someone provided a definition there for MPP. Okay, here we go. Let's keep smashing through. So I really just want to obviously make a rush for Warsaw. Cutting off the enemy is also a good idea, but I don't even think we need to. I think we can pretty much just completely level them here. Boom. I believe tanks also get 2 attacks per turn if this is anything like the other strategic commands. So we might actually be able to go ahead and start attacking this infantry unit. Well, we didn't attack them, but we got a pretty good position here for our tanks. At this point, I want to keep on charging forward. Now, as I mentioned before, guys, there are several other campaigns in this game where you can play from a much easier, less managerial perspective. Obviously, when you're trying to control the entire war here, it can be a little overwhelming, but some of us really like that. I know I do. I love playing the entire war in its, just every single battle, every single country can be taken, etc. But of course, you can play on a much more structured basis, and as I mentioned before, if you decide in this game, you can just play as Italy, you can just play as Serbia, you can just play as Romania. It's completely up to you, and I think that's going to really make it quite different from other strategic command games. I just want to see how far people can get with maybe some of the more minor nations. Okay, we'll take Toto next turn. I expected us to be a bit closer, at least on my own Let's Play. I was a bit closer than this, but that's okay. Send in some more bombers. Jawohl. Sehr gut. And what I'm going to do is actually get into the fort of Przemysl here. We'll attack these Polish troops. And guys, we cannot forget about our Japanese allies. We've got to go ahead and deal with their particular front. And it's a very different front than I think a lot of World War II gamers are used to. We're very much used to the Eastern Front against the Russians. It's pretty easy to see where things are, if that makes sense. Against the Chinese, I mean, you guys are going to see here, it is insane. Not only do we have the Soviets to the north, now, of course, I believe the Soviets only actually attacked the Japanese really towards the end of the war, like 1944. But right now, if you could see here, I'm going to go ahead and try and get behind the lines. But we've got so many troops here. So let's go ahead and try and actually just, first of all, create a front line and keep on attacking on this front line. As you can see, we're spread out here, and we're spread out a lot more than the Germans are. You know, to actually break through, I think we're going to have to get lucky and sort of cut in on the rail lines to the north, or maybe just push on through. I'm really not sure which would be appropriate. Come here, Bullet. There's no Russians behind that door. Don't worry. We don't have to bark at everybody that goes by. All right. I think we'll push this guy over here. And as you can see, it looks like, I don't know if this is actually the case, it looks like the Chinese units are a little underpowered. That would make sense. Let's keep on hitting them. And of course, we've even got Mao's Chinese People's Republic right here in Yan'an, the capital of the Chinese People's Republic. And eventually, if this is once again like any other strategic command, it's going to go by sort of historical basis. And they will eventually start fighting amongst themselves, which I think will make it a lot easier for us as the Japanese here to cut through the enemy. But, you know, in this game, much like any other strategic command title, you can be your own general. You can completely, you know, rewrite history as you see fit. Are there any Canadian events in this game? Unlikely, but I just want to ask. There actually are. Actually, I can confirm that there are Canadian events in the game. Australian events too. A lot is mentioned that kind of surprises me and that I enjoy, and especially, you know, anybody that's a fan of historical games, I think they're gonna really like this part. Just the massive historical intel that we get for each, you know, sort of week of the month, etc. It's pretty interesting. Nice, our bombers made it through. Banzai. Let's grab. I don't want to grab this unit, but you know, I'm gonna probably move this army to the front, just because I know that the Soviets don't attack. My concern is that, what if the AI knows, oh, he's moved all his units away, let's initiate the Soviet attack. So that could be a possibility. We'll send in some more of our troops from Korea, and of course, try and get some special forces here directly from the mainland of Japan out to help our boys. First things first, though, we've got to get him to an actual city that he can leave from. As for our battleships, all of our carriers, I am going to get them right here off the Chinese coast and prepare for war. We also got support transports here, guys. We still have some units, so let me get out with the transport. It's an infantry unit, and we can actually go ahead and take Hong Kong, if I'm not mistaken, pretty easily here. Let's move in. We might have to wait a turn or two, but I'm going to keep on moving forward with the rest of these units. And it looks like there in Nanking we did get some contact with the Chinese. They ambushed us. They will pay for that. Destroyer up here as well, and no, that's not going to happen. No, I'd love to move into Vietnam here. Oh, sorry, we can't call it Vietnam. It's Indochina, because it's currently controlled by the French. But I'd love to take it from the French. And from what I understand, we've just obviously moved into Poland. I'm pretty sure that the French and the British declare war on us by default. Now, that's one event you cannot stop in this game, even in the 1939 campaign, because you are actually already attacking Poland as the game begins. So you don't have a chance to really go for peace with France or England. I think that could require some extra diplomacy, but once again, there's also a diplomacy tab here. Works quite a lot like a lot of the other diplomacy tabs in Strategic Command, which is basically you're spending 150 of the military production points to basically increase your relations with certain countries and bring them over to your side. So I'm not sure. We could actually increase relations with the US and potentially get them to never join the war. Although that could be an event that happens either way, so I'd ask the developers about that. I'm not 100% sure on that. Nonetheless, there's a lot of different things we can do here diplomatically to get folks on our side. What I'm going to try to do now, it's a little strange, but I'm going to try to get Burma to join Imperial Japan. Okay, so we'll go ahead. You can, of course, also declare war, guys, from that diplomacy screen, if you see fit. I think we have to go ahead and start sort of a naval war here with the British. They have declared war on us. That much is absolutely certain, so I think we've got to show them that that was a mistake. Not to mention, guys, that the BEF, also known as the British Expeditionary Force, will be crossing over from Southampton to Cherbourg to be able to assist the French. We won't be attacking France right away, but we are currently in a state of war with France, so it's a very, very tense atmosphere, as you can imagine. Also want to send some ships over to the United States, believe it or not. For anybody that has ever seen a game similar to this streamed, we can actually cut off some of the U.S. supplies to Europe, which would just be incredible, and it would really, really help us to secure victory. There's just so much that we can do here. But right now, our main goal is to take Poland. It's pretty much just goal number one at this point. Making sure I haven't forgotten anything. We also have Italian troops. And I believe we might have positions in Ethiopia. Yes, we do. Wow. So maybe we could actually move on Djibouti here from Addis Ababa. Let's go ahead and reinforce our Italian troops. It doesn't look like we're going to be able to. And this is just a lack of MPP. We need to, of course, get victories, etc., for that to go up. There's also a sort of standard amount you get per turn just for playing as the, an actual side. Because I really want to reinforce these Italian tank companies, etc. I know the Italians are not the best in World War II, but we could certainly use their assistance in at least conquering North Africa. Alright, we're just cutting off more enemies. Basically cut off their supply lines from the main base, or the main city, I should say, which in this case would be Warsaw. And we might even be able to get an attack on Warsaw. No, we're going to have to wait till next turn. We hit it with bombers. I don't think so. We can actually send our fighters in. But I don't think we'll do that. Alright, we can actually hit Warsaw with the first STG squadron. Why not, I guess. And here we go, boys. First end turn. Let's see how it goes. Okay, Lieutenant General Kurt Schutten's 7th Flieger Division is a partially formed and trained unit of paratroopers. Despite its incompetence, it could be used in the latter stages of the invasion of Poland or in an early attack on France. Alternatively, we could allow it to complete its training and formation, in which case it will deploy at a full strength in Hamburg at the end of the year. Would you therefore like to deploy the understrength and only partially trained unit of Flieger? No. So I'm going to let them keep training. And here we go. Foreign Minister Giancagliazzo Ciano. For those of you that don't know, Ciano was eventually implicated in a plot against Mussolini and executed. He was Mussolini's son-in-law. So yeah, don't cross Mussolini. That's one idea there. Our second corps is nearly mobilized and ready for deployment. If you wish, it could be sent to reinforce our forces in Abyssinia for a cost of 30 MPP. Given the difficulty of reinforcing our position in East Africa in the event of war with the UK, this might be a good option. I'm going to agree, so I am going to have it actually deploy in Abyssinia, although I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. And here we go! The Kiwis have declared war! New Zealand has declared war on Germany, guys. Absolutely amazing. So if anybody was worried about Canadian events happening, trust me, you don't have to worry. Even New Zealand is covered here. The United Kingdom declares war, and this is just basically standard. The UK and France declaring war on us. We just want to try to keep things as civil as possible for as long as possible while we chew away at Poland. Okay, we've got some partisan activity, guys, near Peking. I think it's near Peking. That's where it popped up for me last time. Let's see if it pops up in the same location. Ooh, it actually popped at a different location. We've also got partisan activity in Manchuria. This, of course, known as the state of Manchuria at the time, and under the control of Puyi. Some people know him as the last emperor of China. Okay, the Kriegsmarine is confident that a protracted naval effort against the British Empire will bring about their eventual withdrawal from the war. We can target not only convoys sailing directly to the UK, but also enemy ports and other coastal areas of importance to the Canadian economy. So we can send U-boats and surface raiders to target all convoys leading to the UK. Absolutely. This is what I was talking about before, guys. It's not just U-boats, it's also surface raiders. So we can also put regular ships there to stop some of the incoming cargo from places like Canada and the United States. And I think that's just really, really neat. Of course, got to get all the way here to be able to stop that cargo from coming in. Okay, guys. So you get some tips there. If you just saw that, that was essentially a tip for our war in the east. What cities to hold, what cities to go ahead and abandon. And you definitely want to read those tips. I rarely find tips in a game that I'll actually pay attention to. In this particular case, you should definitely listen to the tips. Each turn, you're going to get a new one. I don't think you get them every turn, but some turns you will get them. They're definitely important. I recommend not skipping them. Let's get some infighting amongst the Chinese. Really help our war effort. And it looks like the French are reinforcing those lines. Even the Chinese are reinforcing their lines. Alright, we've already got some attacks there off the coast. And sure enough, we have encountered the French Navy. French and the British Navy. We've got to get those submarines out there to the Atlantic. So we're going to try... Yeah, this is not the greatest situation. The enemy could basically blockade us in here. But we're going to try to fight it off. There's definitely a major naval conflict going on right now. But as you know, it's quite a while before our forces attack France. Basically, we're just looking at the border. We're looking across the border at each other, and we're not happy. But the only war happening right now is a naval war. Okay, still more units moving up, and they're even sending their bombers to try and finish off some of our carriers. That is definitely a cause for concern. Also, one of the reasons it's a cause for concern, not sure if you guys know this, Germany doesn't have many carriers. That's pretty much our only unit, and we don't want to lose it this early in the war. So I'm going to do everything I can to get those guys out of there and to get the submarines into the Atlantic where they belong. How's it going, Frere? Good to see you, bud. It's more appropriately pronounced Frere. Good to see you. Okay, guys, the Red Army begins crossing the border into Poland. Again, not really a cause for concern because currently we are basically in a sort of steady, unsteady alliance with the Soviets. You know, they're taking the east, we're taking the west. Everything's going fine, but that could change. You can see Australia has also declared war on us. Might not seem like a huge issue, but they can affect Japanese shipping here, and that's a problem. As you can see, that's already turned red, so that shipping area is now pretty much part of the war. Okay, the Gneisenau battle cruiser has been sunk. That's a big loss. It's not a massive loss, but it's definitely, you know, not great. The High Command has commissioned General Falkenhorst to study a possible invasion and occupation of Denmark and Norway in April 1940. He will present his plan for Operation Weserboom in March 1940, as well as the cost for the invasion and occupation. If you decide to carry through with an invasion prior to this date, be sure to move units quickly and occupy Copenhagen, Oslo, and Narvik before the Allies can react. Once again, the game really puts the war in your hands and allows you to determine, do you want to attack early? Do you want to wait a bit? It's totally up to you. Okay. Open conflict with Mao's communists may be avoided, at least for some time, if we do not advance close to their territory. So guys, you want to stay 3 hexes away from Yan'an. We don't want to get into war with the communists. We'd rather just get to war with the Chinese. Intelligence reports that Stalin may attack Manchuria should our military presence there appear weak. So this is why we do have to keep those units, and Manchuli, Tsuihar, I can't pronounce these names, but we absolutely have to keep our units here. So, you know, sending them to the Western Front with the Chinese, just not going to be the case. We'll appear way too weak to the Soviets, and they will begin their invasion early. So I'm not even going to think about it. Right now, my main concern is to stop the Chinese up here in the north. Some of these partisans have kind of made it difficult for us, and I am not happy. Let's push up here. Should have probably attacked those partisans, but I think for now, I'm just going to send in the cruisers. Banzai! Nope, not happening. We'll get these units over from Korea as well. And I think we could probably take maybe one of these units. No, we're gonna have to stay here, definitely. We've got to remain strong near Vladivostok. Alright, enemy's gonna cut us off. We'll play their game. So, of course, now, guys, the battle is for Peking. I'm not sure if the garrison is going to be too effective here. It looks like a 1-1, so I'll go for it. I really do want to get rid of that partisan unit, but this means taking away units from the front. That's a tough call. Nope. I think the battle must continue. Probably should have attacked there. I would have gotten a somewhat better attack. But what I think I'm going to do is just try to overwhelm the Chinese here. We're even going to send in our garrison units from Suzhou if we can. If not, then I'll go ahead and just resort to sending in some more infantry. Send in some infantry to defend Wuhan province. And let's try to wipe out the Chinese units right in front of us here. Beautiful. Now again, we want to try and avoid war with Mao's communists. We're going to try and stay away from that area in general and just focus on the war over here. Go for the city of Henyang. But I also want to focus on Nanking right here. Unfortunately, we don't have enough infantry to take it yet. But perhaps later in the war, that's obviously going to be something that we want to go for. I'm not going to worry about the Americans for now. They're kind of not a cause for concern at this particular moment. Alright, let's send in some bombers, guys, and try to weaken these guys even more. Okay, I'm going to jump to the west one more time. I want to make sure we haven't forgotten anything over here. It's time to continue this invasion of Poland. So first things first, I want to cut off any and all rail lines going to Warsaw. Let's do that, and we'll of course commence the attack. Although here, if you look at the probability, it actually is more likely that we're going to lose a unit. I'll still go for the attack because I'm stubborn. But as you can see, it actually did pan out that way. So it is somewhat randomized. I mean, obviously, the probability is more likely that the outcome is going to be what it says. But you do occasionally, you know, come out on top. And considering we have more forces here, I think that's a safe bet. Now, we'll be able to take some MPP, guys, just for taking Poznan here. So let's go ahead. Boom. No, wow, they actually held out. That is surprising, to say the least. Let's try to take Torun. Alright, guys. Just going to keep on moving. I'll actually hit Warsaw from here. Since we've got Danzig here in East Prussia, essentially, we can do what we want, and they really can't stop us. It's a pretty tough situation for the Polish army here. I'm even going to attack them with our Slovakian corps. Okay, and we still got units here in Chestovka. I was thinking perhaps we could send them over here, reinforce our unit over here to the south of Warsaw, but I don't think we need to. The enemy looks pretty weak. What I am wondering about is what we should do with our Italian naval vessels. I'm not really sure. It's going to take them quite a while to get all the way over into the Atlantic, but we could certainly try that. It's going to be one turn only. So let's try and see if we can get some Italian submarines to the Atlantic. Also have to worry about that naval war over here. Let's see if we can't finish off the Allies. All right, I'm going for that cruiser right there, the Suffolk Heavy cruiser. And the submarine completely destroyed it, guys. Just a beautiful attack there by U-32. Eventually, we want to get these guys into the Atlantic, but for now, they're doing a great job here close to home. Let's strike once again with these subs. And of course, getting rid of the cruisers here would be a huge bonus. As I mentioned before, this is where the British Expeditionary Force is coming from, and if we can stop that, that would be amazing. Girls, I think we'll go ahead and end this turn, see what happens. Again, too early to do anything over here in France, and I don't want to go for an early invasion. But once again, if you want to go for an early invasion of Norway, that's absolutely your call. You can do it. It's not easy. It can absolutely be done. I like to wait a little bit. I like to actually just kind of follow the historical timeline until about Stalingrad. That's when I go, okay, we're doing things my way from now on. All right, let's end the turn, guys. Here we go. So the BEF has arrived in France. Yeah, there's no. I guess we can't stop that. I'm not sure if Bill could tell us if there is a way to stop the BEF from ever getting over. I'm guessing if there is, it would be very tough because they do have quite a lot of ships there at the beginning. Thanks, Searcher. So yeah, we'll try to take Warsaw very soon here. I think we'll have it probably by next turn with the amount of forces we have around it. Alright, enemies still got some fight left in them here, for sure, on the English channel. And it looks like they may be chasing away this destroyer. I still feel pretty good about our position here, and I think we can inflict some heavy damage, but, you know, my main concern is getting those submarines into position, and they seem to be targeting those subs. I wish they wouldn't do that, leave our subs alone, but unfortunately they are being targeted. And finally, the submarine dove. So there is a chance that your subs will die from attack. I always enjoy that, and essentially get away from whatever's hitting them. Okay, so as you can see there, just for destroying that, they got a 237 national morale bonus. That's a pretty big bonus, and 166 here from destroying our destroyers. So we really want to focus on that naval war. Maybe even bring over some bomber units to strike from the land. But we want to win this war for sure. And again, they really want to get rid of those submarines with reason. We'll go straight for the cruiser over here. Okay, let's see what the Chinese do. I'm actually curious to see if they're going to capitalize on that partisan position and cut us off, or if they're just going to reinforce. I really don't want them to cut us off. We already have some issues in this particular sector. We don't need more. Just tell them you're in international waters, says Searcher. Yeah, no, I think, what, is it 10 miles off the coast? No more rules, international rules no longer apply. It's a scary thought, to say the least. Okay, the Royal Navy occupies the ports of Cork and Waterford in Ireland. So it's just fascinating how much historical knowledge this game actually gives. Even things that I never even really considered. It looks like South Africa has now declared war on us. Come on, South Africa. I thought we were going to be friends. I really like just the tiny historical details thrown into the game. It's pretty cool stuff. Okay, it's turning back to us, and I'm hoping that we can capitalize on our position in Poland. I definitely don't want to start an early war with the Soviets, but if this is like the older Strategic Command, that is an option, and I don't want to take it. At the end of 1940, you will be presented with a proposal to deploy a force in Italy to serve in the Mediterranean. This force, which will be known as the Africa Corps, will consist of ground forces and air units capable of fighting the British in this theater, and forming it will cost 500 MPP. If you would rather not invest in this, as the war progresses, you may wish to consider deploying units in the Mediterranean so that Italy doesn't have to fight alone. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. The question is, can we afford to do that? Have to wait and see. So let's go straight for Warsaw. As Surtur said, this is going to be quite important. I'm going to move this tank unit up here to see if I can't allow more units to enter near this hex. Okay, Krakow has been taken. Go ahead and just confirm that. And I think, yep, if we play this correctly, we could be in Warsaw by this turn. Sehr gut. There we go, guys. We have taken Warsaw. It's exactly what we wanted. And that at least simplifies the war in Europe. Well, kind of. Now we have to focus on the Soviet Union. And, of course, the war with France here in Western Europe. I don't know how that's going to go. That's my biggest cause for concern. I hate fighting France. Attack. So the Polish still have Modin, and despite losing Warsaw, I don't believe that's an auto-defeat for Poland. I believe the Soviets have to take the rest over here on the east, near Brest-Litovsk, etc. And at that point, I'm pretty sure they give up. And it's officially ours. But we'll have to wait and see. Into Poznan. Oh, it's so good to have this territory under our control. We're even sending in our Slovakian units. And why not? We'll get our actual air force a bit closer here. Good evening, Paul. Good to see you. We've got seppuku jokes already. We knew this was going to happen. Okay, so we'll go straight for the attack here, guys, with the subs. Again, I'm going for that cruiser. Of course, he's got one strength. We still get him away. We might be able to save this guy. What I'll do is move back with this particular sub for another attack. Let's see if we have any other ships up here that we can use. We actually do have a few more, so I'm going to start sending them over as soon as we can. To support our friends. Okay, I want to see if we can get this unit into the Atlantic, so I guess we put it here. I could be mistaken on that. We'll discover it soon enough. And we can also start sending some units off to North Africa. That might be a good thing to do right now, so we don't have to worry about it later. Start sending some Italian units here, and probably some German reinforcements here in a minute. But I think right now the focus is Poland, then we can decide what to do with the German reinforcements. So I'm leaving the city of Qingguan open just to attack these partisans. Again, probably not the greatest idea, but I don't think we have much of a choice. And we could probably take the rest of Peking here, which would be a big win for us. Okay, it looks like, so we hold Peking, but at least we got rid of the Chinese units surrounding it. So I'll move this unit here, and next turn, hopefully, these guys will be attacking. Let's get over here to the Northern Railroad, and oh my goodness, we've got enemy contact with a Chinese general. Is it Chiang Kai-shek? No, it's actually General Zhu. I will still attack at this point. I'm guessing wiping out HQs can pretty much mess up an enemy army. So we want to try and wipe out that HQ. But what I'm not liking is over here, we don't have a lot of units left. We really have to win the battle near Wuhan. Alright, let's carry out a bombing run here. And we're going to have some Chinese interceptors. If I'm not mistaken, the Chinese did have some American pilots assisting them. Volunteer pilots. I forget the actual name of that group, but if somebody wants to type it down below, feel free. Okay. Let's see. That is interesting. I guess we'll keep pushing north. I mean, we are taking very large swaths of Chinese territory. And let's also grab that Special Forces unit. We're going to bring them over here. At this point with our Navy, I believe we could also head to the Philippines. We could do things there. But for now, I'm just going to sort of keep them in these tiles. Eventually, we will start pushing them forward. Make sure we didn't forget anything on the Eastern Front. I don't think we did. Also going to take a look at the diplomatic map right now, guys, because I want to, if possible, start bringing the Hungarians to our side. I think they're going to probably drift to us naturally, but I'd like to speed up that process. Let's see if we've got Hungary here on the map. Okay, yeah, we're gonna have to go down. Fair enough. Okay, so they're definitely drifting towards us, but maybe we can cause that drift to happen a little faster. So I'm going to try and spend some MPB just to have them drift. And this is the same stuff, guys, that you can also use to purchase new units, things like that from the purchase screen. Eventually, we will start purchasing new units, but not right this second. I'm actually probably going to go for some units for our Japanese group here. Let's call it the First Army. Let's see if we can get them some infantry weapons. Okay, nice. So we can actually start getting some Japanese units. I think this is actually very useful. Let's get some more, at least for the Japanese, and we will end the turn. Maybe we can actually start producing some more ships, but I'm not sure how much I want to invest in our actual ships. Let's try and go for some submarines. Nope, we don't have enough for that. Let's get a heavy cruiser. As you guys can see, you can actually upgrade your cruisers or any of your ships or units. You can actually see the differences over here once you hit that upgrade button. So +2, +2, +2, etc. I'm going to go ahead and purchase them. All right, upgrading that Navy just a little bit, boys. And I think we can end the turn at this point. Okay, British national morale is boosted by the decisive action taken to occupy the Irish ports. I don't think Irish morale is doing very well. Poland surrenders. All right, there we go. So it is official. It has surrendered, and we have split Poland in two. And we've plundered 202 MPP from the country. A little less than I expected, to be honest. Our offensive against Poland has been a great success, and the Polish army has been decisively defeated. Molotov, the Soviet foreign minister, is now urging us to pull back to our previously agreed partition lines and honor our non-aggression pact with the USSR. So guys, we can say yes to honor the pact, or we can go ahead and say no, and the USSR will swing 20 to 30% towards the Allies. Now, since we're doing a little sort of let's play scenario here, I'm going to let you guys decide what we do here on this decision. Is it a yes or is it a no? I think the first to 2 votes, let's say, we'll go ahead and take that. So this is a first to the poll situation, and we'll see what happens here. Fingo is saying, press no. All right, you know what? We will. We'll press no. Why not? Okay, here we go, guys. No. It's ours. We've completely occupied Poland at this point. And Stalin is furious at German betrayal of the non-aggression pact. So just imagine if this had happened historically, perhaps the war would have ended even earlier, like much earlier. Pretty hilarious stuff. Okay. Yes. So guys, this is of course the submarines we had at Gibraltar. We definitely want them to sail into the Atlantic because we want them to start hitting the Allied shipping lanes. Irish Prime Minister De Valera protests the occupation of Irish ports. The British occupation of Irish ports causes some anger in the USA. And there we go. Canada declares war on Germany. Once again, the guy that was originally looking for Canada events, there is a major one. And also allows us to go ahead and begin attacking their shipping, keeping some submarines in those tiles, and just making sure that they don't get too many resources to their British friends. Got some more partisan activity in China here. And the Canadian convoys have begun. So it's actually a perfect time for our submarines to be heading out. Uncle Joe won't be happy. No, he won't. Alright, George Elser attempts to kill Hitler in the Munich Beer Hall Putsch commemoration. Not the first attempt on Hitler's life. Hello, Condra. Good to see you, bud. Interesting. So Neuhauser says that the summer of 1941, in his opinion, is the only time Germany could have taken on the Soviets and won. I'm not sure even that would have given them a victory. Yeah, me too, Fingo. So I do like the news flashes that pop up there, as well as the pictures that go with them. And again, for people that maybe aren't as familiar with these tinier occurrences of World War II, it's really interesting. Even if you know a lot about World War II, you're bound to learn something in this game. Looks like our submarines are learning to deal with the fiendish British, and I'm liking it. So our experiment at attempting to get around the enemy with that unit failed miserably. The only positive benefit here is that that unit has essentially turned into a suicide squad, and every single one of their infantry units are focusing on it. So we're not suffering damage elsewhere, but we've got to get rid of that thing quickly. Don't forget, we're also building units for our Japanese forces. I think that's going to help tremendously. We need to try and get as many units into this area as possible, because the Chinese certainly outnumber us. But I don't think they out-tech us at all. Germany celebrates victory over Poland and the return of Danzig. Yes, East Prussia is back in our control, and French morale suffers at the fall of Poland. Okay, so more partisan activity in China, and this can be a real thorn in your side. I mean, just constantly having partisans pop up behind your lines. Got to deal with them, but we also can't take any units away from the front line, really. That will allow the Chinese to counterattack almost immediately. And we also can't send in any units from northern China because that's going to make the Soviets think we're weak, and that's definitely tough. Now that Canada, Australia, and New Zealand have all entered the war, it is imperative we target not only the critical supply convoys, but also the enemy ports and other coastal areas of interest. Placing a naval unit on the red hatching near a port will mine the port, triggering a small reduction in economic production in the vicinity. That is really cool. Very well done, guys. I like that. The U.S. Secretary of State has communicated to us the following statement through the American Charge d'Affaires in Berlin. The U.S. government has adopted a declaration of general neutrality and established a naval pan-American security zone. The zone averages 300 miles in width and runs south from the city of Halifax through to the Caribbean and west of the Panama Canal. So this is Nova Scotia, Canada. Really interesting. And again, I wasn't even aware of this. But just, the fact that historically this actually occurred, basically the U.S. advising the Axis, like, look, we won't declare a war on you, just stay away from this area. Don't sink any ships here. These are important to us. The rest, have at it. Okay, let's see how we're doing over here. First thing I want to do is start building up the wall. Pretty much the wall. We could also go ahead and declare war on Lithuania. Not sure if that's a good idea, but I'm going to just start pushing over here. I'm not too concerned about anybody coming through the Pripyat marshes. For those of you that know anything about the Eastern Front, this is a pretty much impassable terrain, and I like that Hubert and the team have made it so. You can actually see all these rivers here, etc. Make it very hard to have units in this area. So what I want to do is move out from Warsaw and pretty much just start setting up the precursor to an invasion on Soviet Russia. And it's not going to be easy, boys and girls. Okay, guys, what we're going to do here is save pretty soon. I want to go ahead and show you guys the different game types before I end this stream. We didn't take a look at them initially. We're going to take a look at them now. But first of all, I want to move these forces forward, and secondly, I want to save this game so that I can actually play later and see if I can't conquer all of Soviet Russia on my own. Although I have to admit, it looks like a daunting task, to say the least. Let's just take a look also at our Japanese allies. Curious to how far I can get with this unit, and it looks like we've reached one of the garrison units, but we've completely cut off supplies here from Huelin, and I'm thinking that can assist us in moving up from Canton and potentially hitting this group over here in the south. Let's look over here. Can we get through? No, but I think we can destroy that Chinese unit. Okay, nice. So that enemy fortified zone has been destroyed by combat. The enemy's not going to be able to get in there and use it essentially as a sort of a point of attack. And I'm also going to wipe out the Sihan partisans here. I believe we can bring over this naval... No, I don't think... So I guess the carriers are not going to be able to attack these land units. Like just cruisers. Once again, having the partisans behind our lines is going to complicate things to no end. So tempted to bring these forces over, guys, but we know what happens, and that is a potential for war with the Soviets if we move any of the units out of this area. So I'm not going to take that risk at all. And I'm not sure how big the risk is. Maybe it's just a 20% return thing, but even then, I wouldn't take the chance. All right, special forces are also arriving. Let's go ahead and save this, folks. Okay, guys, once again, this is a look here at the options screen. For those